Bismillah Rahman Rahim. Assalamu alaikum, my good viewers and listeners. As I begin today, I have a beautiful line before you to be placed. And the line, as I quote, one book, one pen, one child and one teacher. One book, one pen, one child and one teacher can change the whole world. One book, one pen, one child and one teacher together can change the whole world. Who said that? No other person but our own little girl, now in her teens, 17 years old, Malala Yousafzai, the Nobel Peace Prize laureate or the winner. And as I proceed further, I make my own quote. Though all that glitters is not gold, though all that glitters is not gold, all that matters in human life is literacy. All that matters in human life is literacy, which is like gold. That is my own personal quote and my own thinking, my own way of telling you, my dear viewers, that literacy is very, very important in life. So, today's narrative, as I begin, is on the occasion or in connection with the International Literacy Day, which fell 2 days ago on the 8th of September. I chose today, which is 11th of September. There is a particular reason which I'll tell you in the end of my narrative. The narrative is entitled Literacy is All That Matters Most. You can see at the back, on the backdrop, the sign is there. Literacy is all that matters most. Literacy is a blessing often taken for granted. Reading is essential in our daily life. Navigating through the world without being able to read or write is challenging and is a blockade for experiencing so many things. Literacy is defined as being able to read and write or to having knowledge about a specific subject. When you can read, this is an example of literacy. When you can read and write or read or write, that is an example of literacy, that you are literate. When you are familiar with maths, this is an example of literacy in mathematics. The condition or quality of being literate, especially the ability to read and write, that is literacy. As I go on, I'd like to really emphasize time and again, please don't get bored by the word literacy, because it's important, very, very important, the very basic, the key to our life, literacy. So, ladies and gentlemen and my younger people, literacy is the ability to identify, understand, interpret, create, communicate and compute, modern day compute, using printed and written materials associated with varying contexts. As I follow, literacy skills, the other part, the skills. Literacy skills are all the skills needed for reading and writing. My God, see, there has to be skill, there has to be snack to be able to learn, to read, to be able to learn to write is literacy. So, they are the skills needed for reading and writing. They include such things as awareness of the sounds of language, awareness of print, and the relationship between letters and sounds. So, with the letters, alphabets like A, B, C, D, but there is a sound along with side. A, I'm making a sound. B, making a sound. So, the text or the letters are correlated with the sound, how a particular person pronounces it or says it. Other literacy skills include vocabulary, spelling, and comprehension. Slightly, beyond a certain stage. Comprehensions, for example. Now, my very good viewers, International Literacy Day, as I had mentioned right in the opening, was founded by proclamation of the United Nations Educational, Scientific, Cultural Organization, or UNESCO, UNESCO, on 26th of October 1966. And it was the proclamation to remind the public of the importance of literacy as a matter of dignity and human rights. So very important. Dignity of a human being and the right of a human being. That is where literacy is guaranteed. This day, which began to be observed the following year on 8th of September, brings ownership of the challenges of illiteracy back home to local communities where literacy begins, one person at a time. So literacy, it begins from home. And this is what I'll tell you. Indeed, therefore, like I had said the other day in my another narrative, everything including charity begins at home. Everything, including charity, whatever, your knowledge, learning, everything begins at home, because this is where you are starting your learning process. So I said the other day, charity begins at home. Charity begins at home. When you want to give alms, 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 or anything in kind, you give as a donation or a charity. Remember, I had quoted, charity if you please. This is why you asked for charity. But what I had told in my narrative was giving charity. So in the same context, literacy begins at home, like charity. The first International Literacy Day was celebrated in 1967. And this tradition has been held annually for more than 50 years now. The aim of the day is to highlight the importance of literacy to individuals, communities and societies who live with dignity and make them self-sufficient. See, dignity is another key word for any kind of process of learning or even giving, teaching, everything. So dignity is the most important element. So the need for the real emancipation of people and for the increasingly active and productive participation in the economic, social and political life of human society, of the hundreds of millions of illiterate adults still existing in the world, make it essential to change national education policies. Therefore, International Literacy Day, which takes place every year to raise awareness and concern for literacy-related problems that exist within our local communities as well as globally. The day this year, 2021 that is celebrated to be aware of the need to be literate and know their rights for social and human development. Literacy not just helps people live a better life, but also eradicate poverty. Eradicate poverty, another very important key, to give up impoverishment, the poorness, the poverty. Controlling the population is another element. Controlling the population, lowering child mortality, etc. This day, therefore, is celebrated to encourage people towards better education. In 2015, the UN adopted Sustainable Development Goals, or the Agenda, to promote universal access to quality education and learning opportunities throughout people's lives. SDG, that is Sustainable Development Goal number 4, has one of its targets ensuring all young people achieve literacy and numeracy, and that of adults who lack these skills are given the opportunity to acquire them. They're given the opportunity to acquire them. The SDGs are meant to be achieved by 2030. 2030, another 8 years. And the UN resolution of which they are a part is called the 2030 Agenda. Please, my dear viewers, remember that. It's very, very important. SDGs, there are 17 of them. And each one has a particular target, particular goal, but particular background, an intent. So, education is number 4th, and the literacy. So, that goal we have to achieve latest by 2030. I hope and pray it can be 100% literacy all over the world. Although much progress has been made in improving literacy rates in more than 50 years since the first International Literacy Day, illiteracy remains a global problem. Sadly, very much sadly. According to UNESCO, there are about 775 million young adults around the world who cannot read and lack skills. What a pity. What a pity, really. It pains my heart. The scourge that must be to you as well. The scourge of illiteracy spares no nation or culture on earth, including the United States, where, it's a superpower, where an estimated 32 million American adults are illiterate. What a pity again, what a shame, very sad. An educated society is the guarantor of success of a country. And the teachers, mind you, here, important, the teachers play the most vital role in eradicating illiteracy. Teachers, parents, and the society at large need to play their parts in the promotion of education. Now, literacy and education, side by side, one after another. Literacy and education begun with all children can adorn every single person with the ornament of wisdom and knowledge. Bravo! Wisdom and knowledge. And the basis is literacy. That as a foundation, national development and prosperity is ensured. Alongside state institutions, NGOs and philanthropists needed to make joint efforts with dogmatic will to turn the entire nation into a literate one first, and then to acquire the quality education toward adapting to a positive mindset. Education, literacy, mindset, very, very important. adapting to a positive mindset with positivity of conduct and approach. Positivity of conduct and approach for a better life. For a better life. Important. Whatever you do, whatever good things you do, is always to make your life better. Regrettably, ladies and gentlemen, falling prey, P-R-E-Y, falling prey to drugs addiction, another malice, another sad thing, very good problem, very big problem. Falling prey to drugs addiction and the epidemic, any kind of disease, all kinds of diseases, badly affect the younger generation especially, which is not welcome. We don't want it to happen. Yet, on a serious note, the so-called pride and tradition culture of guns now, this is another illness, another problem. Guns, gun running and so on and so forth. The culture of guns. Shouldering and triggering. The guns, shouldered and triggered, are pushing the society into the age of darkness. This is my personal view, and I am sure the view of many, many people in this world, but there are some who would not share my view. But still, guns, you keep it, it's a killer. It can be for the sake of defense, but you never know at a given moment. When you're in a rage or angry, that particular gun can come in handy to be fired and do a killing. And at that you don't even know that you're doing it. But once it has been done, then there is no time left to regret. So, culture of guns is as bad as the culture of drug trafficking and addiction. The state and society will need to work hand in hand against those elements who are taking the youth to the brink of destruction. Really, it is disastrous for the younger people. My dear younger people, as my viewers and listeners, this is very important. You've got to note it. Got to make an emphasis and try hard to try and get rid of these two cultures. This year's theme for the Literacy Day is Literacy for a Human-Centered Recovery. Literacy for a human-centered recovery, narrowing the digital divide. Mind you, the digital divide, digital system, digitization, the modern concept, the technology is another very important thing, which I'm not very good at it, but I have learned a little bit. I can use my computer, a little bit of, say, editing of other stuff. But it is a profession, it is a skill that one has to learn. So, for the literacy, for the computer, for the digital system, one has to try and be computer literate, digital literate. So that's why the modern trend equally important. So, this 2021 theme is set to create more awareness among the people regarding digital literacy. As the COVID-19 pandemic has hampered the learning of children, young people and adults, it has increased the divide of knowledge among the citizens. This is again unfortunate. Now, it will also explore what makes, this particular digital system, it will also explore what makes technology-enabled literacy learning inclusive and meaningful to leave no one behind. Yes, this is true. That particular technology is not difficult for the younger people to learn, catch it this is the social media era and the age where people are, adapting to it very, very fast. Even the very, very young children at the age of 5, 6, 7, they are very good at it. Unlike we older people. But, of course, I will talk about it another time. It has got the negative side as well. You know, technology, social media, if it is overused, wrongly used, it can also create problems. So, on International Literacy Day, organizations and individuals take charge and use their literacy to encourage and assist those who are facing difficulties on how to read and write. Students and employed people volunteer to tutor children in the community. Books are generously donated to libraries, and a student's tuition and learning are sponsored to launch their lifelong success. So these are the few things among many which I have just mentioned are the providers, the opportunities which can make and convince our younger lot towards literacy. Institutions and governments and international organizations campaign for literacy at the grassroots level, as well as host think tanks and discussion forums to strategize and implement the best policies for the eradication of illiteracy. They also host fundraisers for the cause. It's equally important. In the past 5 decades, ladies and gentlemen, the global literacy rate among young adults has unfortunately grown from 67% in 1976 to 87% in 2020. What a shame, what a pity. In 1976, males had a literacy rate of 76% compared to a rate of 58% among females. Here, as a point of encouragement and hope, Finland is the world's most literate nation. Finland, very cold country, Finland, is the world's most literate nation according to a new research, with the United Kingdom coming in at 17th, behind countries like the United States, Canada and Australia. As I said earlier, teachers play the most important and effective role as they explicitly demonstrate how proficient readers and writers make a meaning of and construct the texts, the words and the lines, the text. Demonstrate skills and the strategies in a variety of ways to cater for different learning styles, learning styles. The best way to teach literacy is, number 1, spending more time on reading and writing. Number 2, for text, having lots of books for children to read. Number 3, actively teaching useful strategies. Number 4, letting the students talk about how and what they are learning. So this is all a part of process. Effective literacy instruction means we set aside what feels good, looks good, and our personal beliefs to ensure student achievement results are guiding us. All students can learn to read at proficient and advanced levels when provided with just right instruction to meet their academic needs. Literacy in the classroom can be promoted by setting aside time for independent reading. This is important. Independent reading. Creating literacy-rich environment in classrooms. Supporting high-quality classroom libraries, another important element, library. Inviting guest readers into classrooms and so on. So this is all part of the learning process. Learning in the sense reading and writing is also a process. All said and done, to be literate is one's birthright, and it is the unquestionable responsibility of a state and its government to ensure that that right be fulfilled. Right of a human being for literacy and education be fulfilled. This is the only way to achieve prosperity in our world and to ensure all communities to live a happy, peaceful life with wisdom and knowledge. You are proud when you have wisdom, when you have gathered knowledge through the beginning of literacy towards higher education. That's it. This is where I lend my narrative off. This is where I end my narrative of part 1, and we'll talk about Pakistan and literacy in Pakistan in my Sal Soul segment tomorrow, and Sal Soul within the YouTube channel called Penta-S. Here, however, I wish to recall founder of Pakistan, our beloved Pakistan, and our beloved founder, Quaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah, on his 11th September death anniversary, that is today. 11th September death anniversary of Quaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah. He had said at that time in 1948, education is a matter of life and death to our nation. Education is a matter of life and death to our nation. The world is moving so fast. The world is moving so fast that if you do not educate yourselves, you will be not only completely left behind, but will be finished up. Great words of wisdom. Our founder, Quaid Ali Muhammad Jinnah, had said in 1948. We must all remember that. And the Quaid knew that it were not the minds, M-I-N-E-S, minds, where there are all those, stuff which can blow up, all the minds of a country, but the minds, M-I-N-D-S, minds, the minds of its country, which could do wonders, and hence his prescription for universal literacy, which is still a dream to be fully realized in Pakistan. I repeat, the Quaid knew that it were not the minds of a country, but the minds of the country which could do wonders, and hence his prescription for universal literacy, which is still a dream to be fully realized, be it in Pakistan, be it in the whole world, on the Mother Earth, the planet. This is where I close. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, my younger people as listeners. This segment and this narrative of mine was particularly for them and for our adult friends to be able to guide the younger people, just like I always do in my own family. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.